Okay, so for our cold dyeing experiment, I have a jar. I have cochineal extract, which is ground up bugs that have eaten cactus fruits. If you use dragon fruit or cactus fruit, prickly pear to dye with, it is considered a fugitive dye and it will immediately fade. But if you use it after it's been processed by a bug and put inside his body, it will be color fast. So we're going to put 1 teaspoon per 100 grams of fiber and literally just put it in this jar. I'm going to put in a little bit of everything we have and then we'll leave it and see what happens. And that is cold dyeing. Okay, so I used a little bit of hot water to dissolve the cochineal. This is not Easter egg dye. If this gets all over your stuff, it will be that color. Fair warning. My glove is now that color. I have all of our mordanted fabric, and we're just going to stuff it in there and label it. And then we will come back in a week's time or something. Not sure. But here we go. As you can see, it has already started uptaking the color a lot. The aluminum triformate is supposed to have it take on the color in a more deep way, and it appears to be doing that. Okay, in the whopping 2 days I've been doing this, and the vast amount of knowledge I've collected, it has come to my attention that these are too wound up. So I'm going to have to be brave and shove my hand in this dye bath. I have a stainless steel straw to help me. And I'm going to unwind the yarns so that they get equally dyed by the cochineal. But it's very red. Don't think that was a problem. It was not an issue to cold dye with that. Good heavens. Okay, this is gonna get everywhere, isn't it? I'm gonna just arm myself with a roll of paper towels. Okay, for reference, this is why we're unwinding them. You can see that there's spots that literally have no dye on them somehow from being twisted up. So those are going back in. I don't see how this fabric could get any darker. To be honest, I don't. I might take all the fabric out. That's only been 2 days in the cochineal bath. Perhaps I just put an unholy amount in there, but the cold dyeing works for that. So I think I'm gonna wash these. So this is the cochineal that came out of the cold dye. I'm terrified to think of what happens when you heat it. You can see there's some really fun variegation here that you typically wouldn't want unless you intended to do that. But if you did intend to do that and you wanted to get some cool like color texture, I know it just looks like it's wet and dry, but there actually is some kind of like tie-dye crunchy patterns going on here where it's a little bit lighter and darker. You could easily wad up a shirt with wax resist or just wad it up really tight because the dye does not seem to permeate anywhere that it's pressed against anything else really tightly. So I put the yarn back in and I added the linen bags back because they were very uneven. These ones were like a little uneven and fun. The other ones were very uneven. So those ones went back for another dip and we'll check on them in a day or so. Alrighty, so the yarn that we put back in, as well as the linen bags, is just about ready to come out. This will be its 4th day in the cochineal, but I mostly just wanted to even out the dye. I'm also going to just leave the cochineal in the jar because I can just heat this up to a boil and use it as a hot dye. There's no reason to believe that that dye is exhausted at all. It is still very much able to dye things. So I'm going to get this all washed off and then later we'll get to look at everybody dry and pretty and compare our results from the cold dye bath. Alrighty, to finish up our cold dyeing experiment, I am absolutely amazed by how the cochineal did. I did end up putting them back in some cases and they still ended up pretty variegated. I think that's just the nature of not being boiled and having the dye matter suspended in the bath because it can sink. So here we have no mordant at all, 15% oak gall. We have the alum, then we have the alum triformate, which it really gets vivid no matter what you put it on. So it's a great product. And then this is the alum plus oak gall. And what you get from doing them in the jar is kind of this really fun natural variegation. So you could absolutely intentionally do that if you wanted to and get all kinds of cool patterns going on it. and just from scrunching it up in the jar, literally. And then again, the baby alpaca did the very best, obviously. The cotton was the most uneven, but it likes that aluminum triformate as a mordant a lot. And then this one also, even despite being put back in and soaked again, it came out mottled. So that was just for cold dyeing of cochineal. So thank you for coming along on this experiment. I would deeply appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. It means a lot to me, and I am trying to do my best to grow an audience for all of my artwork as I try to become an independent and partially disabled artist. So thank you so much. Please let me know in the comments which one you liked the best, because I'm so impressed that this came from a dead bug and cold water. Amazing.